He built the academy, but class is still in session. It's Event About It with Mark Kilens. Hey everybody, welcome back to Event About It. I'm your host, Megan Martin, and our guest this week is best known for building HubSpot Academy and cooking up more GTM models than a runway in Milan. He's tackled building empires of emails, events, and education. Welcome to the studio, Mark.
Thank you so much, Megan. That was definitely one of the top 3 intros I've ever had. I know the other 2. I'll put this in the top 3. So yes, that's awesome.
I love to hear it. I love to have fun intros. There's other shows that I've mirrored this show off of, so I give prizes to anybody who can guess. It's from the Bravo verse, and I'm a huge Bravo fan. So there's a show that does similar intros.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's Watch What Happens Live, maybe?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I want to one day be Andy Cohen of the event world. That's my dream.
Yeah, I know that because my wife loves Bravo too. So I do sometimes watch. I don't watch a lot of TV usually at all, except for maybe some live sports, but she does like the Bravo.
Oh, we could be fast friends, your wife and I. Well, let's get right into it. So I have used the People First GTM. I'm a big fan of TAC. I've used a lot of the resources, especially content, event-led growth, stuff that you have in there. Explain to the world very quickly, what is People First GTM? Why did you build it?
Yeah, so it's inspired from my time at HubSpot. Like you said in the intro, I was fortunate enough to help build HubSpot Academy. And obviously, most people know HubSpot created the idea of inbound marketing, inspired by Seth Godin and permission-based marketing in many ways, and some things David Merriman Scott wrote about back, can't believe it now, 20 years ago. But as I was shifting from HubSpot to Drift and then Drift to AirMeet, I started to realize bigger changes were happening in the context of B2B buying. So I tried to zoom out every time I think there's a big change happening, and it's less about what's changing in marketing and sales, but more about what's changing in the lives of people and how are people consuming things, living their lives, doing their jobs. And one big shift was this shift from a search-centric B2B buying experience. You go to search engines, you go to websites, you do online searches in maybe, private sites like a Forrester or a Gartner if you had a subscription, started to kind of see searching going on in private communities, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, now definitely with GPT, people are just chatting through AI systems now.
Well, that's an interesting observation, though, because that to me is a little bit more social centric. You're actually chatting, there's a social component. And now, a lot of people in the last 10, 15 years are using more and more social networks in their lives. And that has started to translate into B2B. But in B2B, social was always from the point of view of a company. The company had a social profile. The company did this. And my time at Drift and HubSpot, we started to flip that and say, no, social is about the person. Companies, yeah, sure, they need to have an identity and a profile and do posting, but what people are going to remember and connect with are other people. So that was one of the massive shifts that have happened in more the B2C or lives, if you will, this idea of social identity, the socialification of the internet. And so that's a core to People First. The other thing is B2B hasn't been all that good at storytelling, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's a lot of features, facts, figures, speeds, feeds. Some of the best are doing, really value-based kind of messaging and positioning. But the true best are focusing on the impact that their solution is having on the buyer and other people. So it's even above value. It's what's the impact? So storytelling is one of the pillars of People First go-to-market, along with relationships and partnerships. And that was born from another shift where channel saturation is just everywhere. Even events, right? Events, they're saturated.
Yes.
So there's more things to, fight for attention, right? And that just continues to proliferate. The other shift was obviously this rise in AI. And look, I love AI. I think AI is going to do a lot to further the people first GTM movement by giving people time back to focus on the relationships and partnerships and less focus on having to manage and optimize software. Now the AI is going to do that. So yeah, anyway, there's a lot of things to unpack there. I'll stop because I could go on for like an hour talking about like why I created this idea of people first go to market and why event-led growth and a few other kind of go-to-market strategies are part of the model. But it's definitely a very, I think, stressful time for a lot of marketers and sellers because so much is changing at once.
Yeah, I use this a lot with a lot of the companies I work for, especially the event agency EMC. We adopted this model, and I mean, it's been paying dividends for us. And even in the short time that we've been using it, where we're focusing less on the messaging about the company, on more on what we're doing to help the industry go further. What are we doing for our clients to help them be better? And not just about what we can offer, but what we offer, where we take some of the operational things off of their plate so that they can focus on growing their companies and be better and do bigger things.
It's the impact and the value. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into a fun game. This game is called Funnel Vision. We're going to toss out event-led and GTM tactics, and you have to decide where they belong in the funnel, top, middle, or bottom. But here's the twist. Just because it's flashy doesn't mean it actually works. So you'll have to tell us not only where it fits in the funnel, but if it will work or just a hot mess branded in a tote bag. Are we ready?
Let's go.
All right. Running an influencer campaign with micro events in your trade show booth.
All stages, top, okay, middle, and bottom. And then you had a kind of a qualifier on that. It was influencer campaign in your trade show booth with what specifically?
Like micro events. Like, are you recording a podcast? Is it a meet and greet? Are you doing a session?
Yes. Yeah. So also and I'll give you some context. So what I would do at the top of the funnel is find the people that are kind of the subject matter experts, because I don't love the term influencer, but it is what it is. Yeah. Like there are subject matter experts that your buyers trust. They might not be customers. They're probably not customers, but they're well known in the industry. Top of the funnel is great for that. Then you might bring in someone who's more of a solution, depending on your industry, like analyst type person, someone who's maybe done deeper research, maybe someone who is a current customer, even to do more of a middle of the funnel play, right? That's talking about I took this or had this problem. I used this solution. I might have used your product to solve it, but it could be product agnostic. And you're doing, like you said, interviews or having a mini presentation with them about it, or people can ask them questions in rapid fire. And then the bottom of the funnel is the customer, right? Like having your customers, and also the middle of the funnel, you could use your partners to do that one as well. But yeah, your customers at the bottom of the funnel. So yes, I think you could definitely do that. I think that's also, just a quick aside, a great way to think about your speaker strategy potentially at events where it's not just your company speaking on behalf of your brand. That's
people first GTM right there. Having real llamas at your booth because, well, it is EasyLlama.
That'd be crazy.
I think maybe you have to do it one day.
Oh man.
Yeah, where seriously. Would you put it in the funnel?
Llamas? I don't know. That's a tricky one. That would probably have to be omitted. I mean.
All right, we'll put it at the top. It's at least brand awareness because people would want to come see a llama.
Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be a kind of maybe it's a carnival style event. That you know people have different thematic style events now.
I love it. Giving early feature access only to people who attend your live product keynote.
I would not do that.
You wouldn't do it? Why not?
It constricts your distribution leverage. I think there's a better way to do that. So live product keynotes, is that at an event where it's in person? So when you mean live, is it in person and digital, or both, or does it matter?
Maybe both. I don't think it really matters.
So if it's both, where you're doing a live keynote and it's an owned event and you're doing it live in person and digitally, then yeah, it makes sense. If you're just doing it at a third party event, where I've seen companies do product announcements. HubSpot used to do this, right? At the inbound stage with a partner. I wouldn't just constrict it to that live audience. So I think that's with a lot of things in like life and marketing, it depends, but hopefully that adds some context to the answer.
Yeah, definitely. Gifting high intent leads a personalized cameo from a niche celebrity.
Nah, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would do it in a one-to-one way. So if you know someone who like loves this person, Andy Cohen, and they're like a target account, and you think that's just going to continue to help you make sure the deal closes in a month or two because it's, you know, a long sales cycle, then yeah, do that. So if it's one-to-one, and if that's what you mean, then yes. But if it's like more broad-based and kind of generic, kind of gets in this idea of generic go-to-market, and it might fall flat. It could work if it's very relatable, like there's a true analogy or metaphor with the person and who you're sending it to and what you're kind of selling. I could see it working there, but I think the word there is caution. Like it's got to be on the resonating scale. Like it doesn't resonate to it, like it extremely resonates. It's got to be more in the extreme like resonate side.
That's definitely more ABM, middle of the funnel, very targeted. Like, you know, these people really well.
Yeah, I would say bomb the funnel, quite frankly.
Bottom.
Like, yeah,
Okay.
I mean, you know the people. Yeah, I forgot to say, middle
It's all
time.
good.
Remind me that I got to do that. Sorry.
It's fine. All right, next one. Turning every session from your event into ungated SEO content.
Top and middle. Yeah, I mean, SEO content is going to be moving more and more into this like product led kind of content phase. Like thought leadership is harder and harder to like really optimize and rank for, and like it doesn't really pay off unless it's very original, kind of like people first GTM. More middle, could be top. Definitely would do it.
Launching a compliance confessional booth at an HR conference with anonymous industry horror stories.
Top. And yeah, recording it and getting people to feel comfortable doing that. It's tricky because I know it's the privacy. I don't know if you could do it from a privacy standpoint. I would love to do that, but I think it could be legally challenging and uncomfortable for people to share. So
for sure.
Great idea. I don't know if it practically could work though.
I would agree. Hosting a roundtable where attendees have to pitch you their biggest challenge to get access to your roadmap.
Middle to bottom, I would not do it though. I would not do it. It feels, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right.
The gated part, like we want to hear your challenges, but not to get access to the roadmap. Maybe that's the part that you wouldn't. That I mean, to me, that
it
doesn't
feels
feel
a
right.
little clickbaity almost.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I would agree. Agreed. Clickbaity in person, which is a unique thing. Putting your sales reps in mascot costumes to match your brand's animated characters.
It's top of funnel, not my style. No, pass.
I would agree. Awesome. Well, that was a fun game of Funnel Vision. Thanks for playing. Let's wrap this episode up with time to my favorite event about it. This is part of the show where you get to spill the tea on memorable event moments, a huge success or a total disaster or just pure chaos. You've led some iconic events, Flash, Rev Growth, Hypergrowth. I mean, Inbound you've been to. You go to a lot of events. You even worked for an event tech company at one point. So give us a behind the scenes moment that almost derailed everything.
I mean, the most classic, obvious one was 2016, the day after the election happened. It was HubSpot's Inbound event. It was like literally the worst timing. We all saw it coming for months. I don't know how it ended up happening. You know, I think there's a scheduling issue. It was normally in September. This, you know, it was obviously November that year. And keynote speaker completely went off script.
Oh, Lord.
So that
you never want that happening.
And yeah, people were walking out like upset, angry. The mood was terrible that day. I mean, you know, obviously for, you know,
Sure.
a lot, especially our kind of customer base at the time. So that was tough. That was really tough. That was tough.
What'd you guys do to try to turn it around?
Yeah, no, I wasn't on the event team at HubSpot at that point. I ran the event before that. The day before was like training day. So it was like 600 or 800. I forget how many customers came that year. It was customers and prospects, but somewhere between 600,000 people, 600 to 1,000 people came the day before to do classroom style in-person training with certifications. We did this for many years. It was very successful. And that was the day of people voting. And, you know, it was different. People were like, whatever, it's good. That one pretty fine. And then, yeah, the next day, I don't know exactly what the inbound team did. I can't remember that piece because I had to like be on the show floor at the HubSpot Academy activation and like, talk to a lot of people and try to feel good and make people feel good. But yeah, it was rough.
That would be a rough time. I used to run a November event too, and we always had to do a lot of messaging about like how to vote early, do your mail-in ballots if we were having people travel like on election day. And, you just never really know what the mood's going to be like after an election like that. And there were a couple of years we even had the event in DC over election time, and it was always pins and needles, like what's going to happen. It obviously was not nearly as contentious back then as it is now.
Yeah, always check. I mean, any event pro knows this, but just a reminder, like always check the calendar when you book a venue.
For sure. Yeah, that would be a tough one, for sure. Well, what's up next for you? Where can our listeners find you?
So yeah, I'm still running TAC. You can check out tacinsider.com, but I am now the head of marketing at this awesome company named EasyLlama. You dropped some llama references. So check out EasyLlama. We're going to be doing some big product announcements coming up, but we're a compliance and learning platform. So we help HR folks and learning development folks, people in the legal side of things, compliance, create a safer and more productive workforce using our all-in-one solution. But TAC Insider is still ripping. I do a Sunday newsletter. I talk about event-led growth often. And yeah, the feedback that I give to folks who are on the event side of things, definitely try to figure out how to tie your events to business problems, right? Like really focus on how are your events, digital, in person, webinars, whatever style, are helping the business grow and creating a story and a business case around that. Early in my career, I failed to kind of do that well enough. So
I think every event pro ever has struggled with that early in our career, myself included.
Yep. It just happens. But the more you can like understand the P&L of not just your events or event, and how, the P&L of the business works and how those events drive pipeline and revenue, and the more budget, the more fun you'll probably have.
Agreed. Can we also plug a little project on event maturity model that you're going to be coming out with version 2.0 soon?
Yeah. I mean, it's through Srugo. Srugo is an awesome event tech company. Just Google event maturity model. You'll find it. They're creating a whole hub on the 5 stages of event maturity. Great call, Megan. Love Srugo and the team. Going back to the conversation we had at the beginning of this, podcast, the show, value and impact. How can you show people and teach people the value that your product or service creates and how they can grow over time? And if you could design your event thematically from a storytelling standpoint, but then also through the sessions that go more in depth, that are really about helping, your customers or buyers or your attendees understand, where they are today and where they can go, and make it inspirational, but also very practical and educational. I think those are the best in-person type events, where the content's also very unique and you can't find it really online.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is there's so much information on the internet now. That's where the events can come into play and be really special, is when you're presenting things that you can't Google.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't find on YouTube, right? Like, sure, there's going to be some keynotes that, there's a different take, but yeah, I remember at Drift when we were doing the hypergrowth events in 2019 before the pandemic, we would try to work with our keynote speakers, say, yeah, you kind of given this keynote before, but here's our theme and story for the event. How could you weave your kind of narrative a little bit more into like this direction? And we would do multiple sessions with them before the event, as long as it was cool in their contract, to help kind of craft that slightly different take of something they might have already said.
Yeah, I love that. Also, Swoogo super-fan. It's not sponsored by Swoogo, but, hit your girl up if you're interested, Swoogo. You got 2 fans here.
Love it. People first, right? That's word of mouth, right? That's people first GTM, word of mouth.
I love it. Well, that's all, folks. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Event About It, where we turn event mishaps into marketing gold. If you enjoyed the chaos, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with somebody who needs a laugh. Don't forget to head over to eventaboutitpodcast.com. Send us your events and stories to be featured on a future episode. While you're there, join the Squared Squad, where you get access to bonus content, engage with episode guests, and catch the Event About It after show, where Mark and I are going to get into the future of event MarTech, personal operating systems, and how to measure human connection in a dashboard world. Until next time, keep growing, keep laughing, and definitely keep eventing about it.